Here you go. Hello. It's the second week of the month. Still? More or less there. The word of the week is beauty. With the synonymous, we go for attractiveness and pleasing, which feels beautiful. Feels beautiful, and sometimes one is helpless to so much beauty. Yep. There you go. I mean, helpless. Sometimes you can't control it. So I just got my favorite writers. Have many, but they're on a pile together, or close, but very close by. I wish to get the books of H.G. Tudor. I never to read any book, but it's been a lot already. So I just wanted to read from William Blake, some part Tolkien. William, this is the autobiography, but the writer who speaks about, and maybe his son. I never got to really see who's writing this. He's so beautifully exposed, very English, like gentleman, very refined, so refined. So some writers you never know, but some writers you want to also know about their life because they are so I'm not a person that likes to read a lot because I think there are so many beauties around the world itself, and I have tried to enjoy life as much as I could, even though I always kept studying. But it's been more of a discovery. So it's not that I am a person that thinks that if you read, you know more. I find many people who are in academics or always writing, they're just copying from what they write. And I find them very well instrumented, but they have not composed anything. So they're very excited because they have discovered something and they make it their own, as if they are the ones who have invented. But they've never gone deeper into the action or the feeling or the prayer, like, and the madness that the genius really has to walk through. It's not that a genius is always crazy, but there are some weeks or months of of madness or raw depression or alternative beliefs that could be close to uh, schizophrenia, but he's trying to discover something, and it's just so lost into it that to return is because the mind, the mind, and the imagination can become so real, so real. Um, that is the beauty of these writers that live in this, like Tolkien, all his life. He his professors, because he said to him, but that was in the movie. He said, "Well, I have copied from all these Nordic gods and Celtic stories." Because he took the story of Idun with Loki and the giant as well, and turned it. It's infinite. It's infinite. He lived and created like a verse. He was all his life and drawing and teaching and studying. So I'm so happy that the new coins with Charles, the new king, are also going to be with Tolkien. I'm suffering a little bit because the coronation should be sanctified and spiritual among all the people that are watching the media, and it has become just very hurting and selfish and entertaining for the average, because the average is right there behind ruling, as if it is the pillar of the kingdom. As soon as it is removed, greater stories will come through, but than just pictures. So William did have a private life that was very sacred, um, between different believers of from the Jewish and the Anglican and some other, because in those times was. So I wanted to read of course Shakespeare, but I will just open randomly. I wanted to read to keep with my English, so I don't have anything to say. It is Sunday and it's a holiday, so I would love to go out and listen to a beautiful speech and get to be with my family and say thank you. Thank you for the good times. We celebrate the best we still have alive. Um, Even though it's still very hurting to be from far away and not for things you can't explain, because is the fight keeps on and on and on. These are schizophrenic relationships. You cannot put it any other way. Then how can it be that a member of your family keeps fighting you for no reason? To steal money, to take your mother, to. But it's been like that from childhood, even though you share good times. So I woke up today thinking that my therapist from Germany and the world of Osho, uh, His spiritual name is Devapath, and he's a great master of meditation. He would also believe, from the few who are left, the meditation is the only way, because the rest is gibberish in the mind. And we do need our ego. So there is a point in between, because I was raised in both worlds. And I thought there was nothing wrong with the mind. They would insist, no mind, no mind. And the more you go deeper into it, the more you could understand what is role play as well. So the Papa told me that that's my learning in life, that no one is perfect. That is not to forgive, but just to live with it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to create anything, and we would be just alone with people pretending to be perfect. So, of course, we must respect and follow our rituals, our beliefs, to feel at home, protected. Home is not a place where the changes come across. So Osho used to speak a lot about change. And he was not against the material world or the spiritual world, because the spiritual world can be also very corrupted. They take from society, so they leave spirituality. And they just give the cheap stuff to the people because it's shallow, but it's not deep enough. But in all the religions. So that's also corruption. And everyone deserves to have a spiritual retreat, but it's a luxury. In the old times, you would wish one of your children to be a doctor, the other a lawyer, another a nun or a priest. So you could have a spiritual retreat, like a holiday, and go with the monks, because you would visit your family member being from a middle high class society, because of course you would be also donating, and you had a place secure in heaven. But that is a blessing to the family. So I still don't believe that bad people have to exist so the good ones become stronger. I don't believe that we have to suffer in order to learn. All paths leads to awareness or a state of peacefulness, just understanding. But my master wanted us to be in the marketplace and be able to confront and share this awareness as well, and enjoy life with all its sins, which are not sinful really, but depending from which beneficiary spot you are looking at it from. But if you're really enjoying your life without hurting anyone, it's not a sin. So there we go. Just trying to pray. I was gonna go to walk with the sunrise, pick stones, and just become small in the in the sense to forget about wars and this year and just pray. I'm not a person who is about projecting or manifesting all this because for me it's fake. You're not in touch with the many realities. So you are an ignorant, a pretentious person, selfish, and it just wants to put in yourself to get. So there is nothing there. If you really look at it, it's just auto-destructive because it has no eternity to that emanates. So it's like a product. You can use it for this and that. And we are getting lost with all this. So I wanted just to become smaller and go out and just just work and become smaller in the prayer that Ukraine could become smaller too and stop this war. If I can become smaller from not even entering my characters to enjoy, because I don't like anyone that is not a role player to read my stories, because this is for a world of role play and virtual reality where only people who role play can be part of it and read it, because they're also performing their parts. And they're parts that are not yours. They're parts that sometimes you are simply bringing a life to. So one is attractive to certain things for a lifetime. My father was attracted to, in his last years before he passed away, he said he was an artist. Even though he was always talking about politics as a political journalist, and he would be like a detective, searching with the police for murder and investigational, because he loved to be free and do whatever he wanted. He was a very active man and loved to walk very fast, and he had his favorite causes, but he was an artist for society. He was, as he would say in his own words, he would sculpt society. And he also said he was wrong. It's sad to see that so much talent can be going to the wrong place. People are so, especially the psychosis of men in politics, they're so fixated thinking what they're doing is the best. They cannot dive and experiment something new, be a little more flexible. They want to keep power forever. So creation has many gaps and pitfalls. When I think of the president of Venezuela, he could become a chief, a cacique, as a king, and allow two parties and come here to learn and allow some of his people to learn what is to talk in a parliament and how it works in the system, how is it played. But who is there to talk openly and honestly when someone is asking for help? So my father created this movement and it has destroyed Venezuela. And he knew it would. But he said that it's a long story. I have to I have to pay to get all his writings to read it because I never, but I could tell what he was writing, but I have never read what he was writing in the press. I could tell he was a rebel and that he was against the high class, and there was a lot of corruption in Venezuela. They would take everything. They would leave always in any presidency. So it's hard to have honest people that even if they take, at least they are doing for society. So it is not easy. I wanted to talk about Jordan Peterson because I brought all his books, and this book was the first edition. I brought it before it came out, so I know from my father that he made scandal, so his movie was in the newspapers, but in all South America and in North America as well, because he was running naked with a roll of film, and that was scandalous. And he knew as a journalist how to put news in all the papers, not just on his paper, and manipulate minds because they want people to buy it, and that's how they talk from mouth to mouth. So Jordan Peterson is a mastermind of creating scandal, and he knows that very well. He has to burn the he has to burn so people, or put more to the fire, or complain about the smoke. It seems like he's asking for help from higher sources. I know that from another part of him, he wants to fight authority because he comes from parents who are teachers. So he loves authority and hierarchy, and at the same time, he doesn't know how to address problems from. He just see like if it's all this, and you cannot just talk. It's so talking bad about the people who are taking care of environment. It's not just the economic forum and the richest people on this earth. And once again, things are not perfect. People are not perfect. So what you're trying is to respect this, but just talk about the aspect, not the person itself, because it's representing a country and it's trying to deal with a crisis that is beyond order or any reasonable belief that is concrete and understandable. So what's going on is a death and a change through values in society, and we are all responsible to take care for whatever it is that we're doing, right? So being respectful, but just kill with that aspect. So there comes there comes a time where you're fighting Canada has, as in Venezuela, the most beautiful people on earth and the most grotesque and disgusting, because it contrasts to live with what is happening. The Canadians have a government that is as well so corrupted, and they all carry along, because as every government, people that work in government, they think to be superior than doctors or psychologists or scientists or the people. So there is a disdain, and they do whatever they want. They think to be immune. That's how they took my children away, and I have all the evidence. That's why they deported me as well. I asked them for help. Everything I said was true, but I am not perfect as well. I was arrogant, and I am still arrogant. Um, Arrogant and hurt now. So it's just like me, so many people whose children have been taken. Not just the Native American, they're still taking children. And they have a process for that. It's not just like that. It doesn't matter. And of course, any person would just care less about people who need help in this world and do the right thing, because doing a scandal and being famous and getting more impact in the world to be known is more important. Yeah, to be known, because information is power, no matter what information is going out there, right? Because if we are in a in a spiritual realm, who cares about real life? Because we're living like Zen masters, detached from the pleasures of this life. Not just the pleasures, but what's reasonable. I eat elaborated food that is being cooked with love and is presented beautifully with a dish to the eye. I will recover my senses. And if I have the wealth, I wouldn't eat lentils nearly every day and just be with anything to calibrate what I love to do. Because desire needs to waken, to dance, to make love, to be able to consume, to elevate the energy, and to bring it down as much as you wish, or being brought down as well, if it pleases you. Meanwhile, who cares how many children are being captive away from the love of their mothers? Little children. Who knows what they're going through, right? Who knows? Who cares about me? Yeah? Just use my ideas, use my work, use my genius without ever exploring yourself and going deep down into the core of your own bullshit. Little raped child from wannabe teachers that push you all your life to be better than them because they came from a depressive, sad family who wish to do the right and work hard to improve. But at the same time, they hated the high class. Uh, I have seen teachers and children of teachers, like the son of, but many children of teachers that are socially resented because they are not the richest kid in the class. So, like Brian Comberher, who murdered, but they have the best attention any child could have because the parent or both parents are teachers. So they are the best in the class. They also kind of lack empathy because they are just instructed to with a lot of to to be indoctrinated. So Jordan Peterson is coming out to realize what he already knows, that you don't need to tell people what to do, because the problem with the metaverse is that this is not a therapy where people are going to indoctrinate you in virtual reality or fantasy world. You are going to experience yourself, and you have rules that protect, because there is a lot of bullshit going on. And what you think is the tissue of reality, there is nothing, because everyone keeps copying. They do not honor, they do not pay. They just want to move on and forget the innocent, those who do not have a voice, right? It is an insult to believe that such a things exist every day that you wake up and you have to hear. It's all pretense to the highest score. Do they really care? Yeah, you care for your degree or your social status, but you are learning how to create a conversation and a mediation for things that are never going to change. They've never changed, and they're going to keep corrupting and changing everything they can. As honest you can be, people who work in government are not honest. In the future with the program, they will have to. They might create other tricks within the program to cheat, especially the white trash who, whatever have money or not, they are pirates, thieves, so they will find a way. And there are more thieves in my country, Venezuela. They would steal for anything. Um, there are conditions you find in certain countries. They are, you cannot say all Venezuelans are like that, or all the people in Spain, but there is a tendency. The south of Europe in the Mediterranean is highly corrupted. And you can see it in, there are brave people who have come forward. They are braver because they came forward. But in countries like in Canada, no one has ever come forward. In Canada has stories of horror that no one will believe. But I am saying, like, if you will have to bring statistics, I mean, most of these serial killers and killers come from Canada, but the horror stories, there are a lot of crazy stories, and it's like is, and then you have the 80%, 85% Canadian, which will just ignore it completely. So this is a way of creating more madness. You don't have to deal with it or nourish it, but respect it so it does not go to the other stream because it's neglected and abandoned. As if you're better, because then they have children and children, and there again is going to happen in the family, if not in one generation, in the next. But people that are really crazy, like I've never seen, and even in India, in Goa, they would talk, especially they would say from British Columbia, not just crazy, but they would take drugs like crazy people, the capacity of beyond anyone's measures on this earth. People who work in government in Canada are so fake. I have seen them because, and they're nice. They're the nicest. They're the nicest to say, and some of them would listen, but between words, we know that they want to keep the homelessness because that's how they keep taking money from the nice. I mean, they cheat their own nicest people, and they don't want to help the homelessness. This is. I could just talk for hours about this. The beauty of honesty is that it could become attractive when you have a solution only, and you can appreciate the other one to help you solve this problem. It's a teamwork because you are involved, want it or not. You are attracted with a magnetized field that is representative of not just yourself, but many other issues. There are many things that, because we think, oh, yes, government could do this, God could do that, the king could solve all this, the queen could solve all this, but it's beyond. Society has to become also responsible in order to manage and understand each other without having to always follow through, because there are problems that need to be talked, not talked over. So of course it hurts me because I have seen my father commit so many mistakes, but as a young person that I am supposed to have his support, and all he left me was his teachings. But it's kind of like twisted. Yeah, you've taught me so much, but I will never want to be like you, even though what you did was great. And I always thought I would do something great as well, because it runs, I guess, in the delusion of the family. And trust me, Forrest Gump, I was like, that was my father. He had people following him from village to village, from half Venezuela, because he was running in protest, so his movie would come on theaters. Because he had a nudity. It was from far away, a spirit jumping in a lake, and you could see swimming underwater. And it was the times in the 70s where nudes were normal. But it was not frontal nudity. So, well, what I love from him, um, and that I carry as a better generation and worst, because I'm dealing with problems that could lead to generational wars and separations. So To trash our own government or our own prime minister, our own president right now is not the best time. You can talk about aspects and respect the individual who is in charge. No matter, I mean, it has to be a very bad person. And of course, who wants people supporting in a war? Of course, this war had to happen. It was in the air, built from a lot of stories in the air from the past. Could it have been prevented? It could be a better world. Yes, of course, we don't need this, but let's just consider some people make a lot of money with it, especially from United States of America. So they will carry the conversation and the lyric. Yeah, 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 yeah. And underneath, yeah, it is they just want to win the war and sell more guns and be on top of the world. And the rest of the world knows that this is it. This is what's going on. And it's not that you want to be with the most popular person and the person that makes more movies, but eventually people are gonna make their own satellites and just cut the bullshit 100% from United States and anyone who is involved with countries who trigger imbeciles like Zelensky. Because Zelensky is like Monica Lewinsky. I mean, you see the relationship between Monica Lewinsky and the president of America. So he was not paying to Putin. He owned money. He was bothering him, and he was not paying the gas, and a lot of problems there. And of course, if you don't get enough, right? And Lewinsky was so in love, but she wasn't the wife, right? So she wanted to get something that it was not hers. So she had to go there and show her dress with a lot of sperm to prove it, because she was resented. She didn't accept that she was little. She This happens in family constellation, the laws of positioning. So one has to see these movements. She doesn't honor that this man is the president, or that is married, or there is another woman there who is first. So the resentment is such that not only that, the delusional idea that Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is going to save the world from a third world war. To imbeciles. Because that's what happens if everybody would have been supporting Monica Lewinsky against the president of United States of America. How many people have been triggering Putin, right? Until he goes crazy. I have always defended people who've been triggered, because I do trigger, but it's been to people who have tried to take my children. Yeah, the girlfriend of the father of my children, and the father of my children. I haven't triggered him, but I had to do everything to recover my children and take them away from danger, something I should never talk about, in order to respect family. Family. This is family. Because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Proof to proof? What? I could give tomorrow characters to everyone. Just take a paper and give it them. Nobody knows who they are. I don't know who they are. And I give them the password, the email. They just have to change the email password. But nobody has to know who you are. And you have to play all these characters to not get stuck in character. Because that is a problem again and again. You can copy very good because people are so smart to just copy. Yeah, copy, 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 and repeat this word. Okay, repeat, 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 repeat. But then you want to be the authority to slay the dragon. We have a lot of problems that we need to humble up to see that it's not just the Prime Minister of Canada. It is not just the long conversation through decades, because it's not going to change from one day to another. The United States, for example, of America, is going to say, "Oh yeah, okay, let's forget this war and take care of our people who are dying in the streets and make a better world." No, because it is their way. But the more generations, the more people that are growing, the more you can see it. Of course, they will always try to hide how much money they are taking from taxes, but that's when people will value their responsibilities to take care of their localities as well and respect those in charge. Because if we don't have this level of respect to our higher hierarchy, we cannot communicate. Elon Musk as well. He can take from the bank. He even take from his father and sends him to hell and just make his money. But if he has to pay taxes, then he hates the government. If they say something because of whatever is authoritarian, then he hates the ones who have given him. So where is this relationship between our authority to the other authority? Because there's always going to be someone who has more. So these are pathways in our relationship with our parents who need to be broken down and rebuilt to see the other one as it is. Of course, eventually there should be laws where people should do therapy and have meditation if you are working with politics, because you are in charge and in the care of many people, millions of people. Somebody that is cannot be triggering another leader. Not only presidents, but also the press is responsible for the way they are talking to other and whoever mediators they send. I have said once and again, Venezuela should never do deals with the United States of America. Um, but they are the ones who go there. This is not as easy as it seems. There is a reason to all this, because of the aspects that are leading behind. And of course, there are all these filthy rich who have their way of thinking that suppressing is the way they can keep more money, because the people will keep working. Meanwhile, they'll keep doing stupid things be known. To do what? To do what? This is not the way to relate. This is not the way to be investing your energy every day. Be on order. The beautiful book, and what I admire is that he wrote this when he was in Russia, and he was about to die. So I could have a lot of books already, but I'm against cutting trees to make my own writings. I believe in role play. I believe people don't need to. I'm just reading this to nourish your ego. But to think, where are you going to invest your next years and decades? To enjoy life fully? To investigate what is it that you're talking about that you are so excited? If you need to prove something because it is illegal, prove it. My father went to jail for reporting the truth. And one of his biggest causes was to protect the freedom of expression of the artists. Because it is the artists who are going to express, which each generation needs to be heard in the most beautiful manner, in the most ecclesiastical, horrific, exaggerated. So we're learning how to put our settings and to understand what we're doing. Now, this is too new, so it's like the internet has opened the Pandora box and people don't know how to express themselves. Yes? So this is the first stage, let's say the first decade, 2 decades. But people have been expressing themselves as they used to express themselves before. They've never come to this point of having to manage many issues that are as good to create scandal and people talking about you and going outside for you. And my father did riots as well because he lost his school because he was reporting against somebody in the news, not reporting in the newspaper. And this person had relations with the my father also went to jail for my mother because my mother wouldn't pay taxes. She had 8 stores and she would bring clothes from London and New York. And she would have contraband, they call it, right? Contraband. Well, she would hide in the port where the boats and the police would be looking for her. So I have stories when I was a toddler, and she had this house specifically with a door to escape from the back, which it led to another road. Beautiful house with a backyard and garden, so she could run away when the police was coming for her, because they would always be asking her for money. The police was corrupted as well. So in those times, it was why pay government if they're so corrupted. That was the law, how people thought, right? And nobody likes to pay taxes. So in a corrupted world where I would pay taxes if I know my money is not going to war. So things like that. If you know both parties are supporting war, and people don't care because it's hidden. They say they're not going to support it, and they support it again. Because this is the story and the narrative of how some countries want to be the best in the world for what they consider the best. And meanwhile, its best people are also fighting. It is a beautiful debate that is going on. That is for certain. I would wish my father to be alive and see what's going on. What will he say? But at the same time, I'm glad that he's dead because he likes what I say, but he will never give me the right because he is my father and he is a man. So it's kind of like I would love to see him alive and take care of him or my mother or see them because they would be. My mother is very healthy. My mother would say things also that I would never believe because in the way she thinks. So just to have some quiet here that I am alone 24/7 every day for weeks and months is a luxury that no one has. Only monks and nuns, people who meditate, and it's okay to gather and do things together. To have something to fight for, but yet is it really going there? Because, for example, the scientist was saying that it's not good to cheat in class if you want to learn, because some people need to learn. So you need to prove that you are better because you are half black or your parents wanted you to be better. I don't need to prove anything. I'm a creator. I'm a genius. You took planet Pluto out of being a planet and made it a dwarf planet when it's a planet in astrology, and who cares how small it is? But just because you want to prove that you're better than planet Pluto, because you have issues of being black and you want to be known, and people would give you credit, yeah. So now planet Pluto is a dwarf planet. But never made any genius theory or invention at all. Because some people are more creative, and you need to be very creative to make your own thoughts as a child. You need to be well supported to create movement, not just followers, because you're a follower. Smart person who can memorize and repeat. That's very easy to teach children. But when Whoopi Goldberg is talking about that slavery still exists in this world, Neil, he looks at her like, shut up, because we're having here people who are listening to us, and it's better to be polite. Yeah. So some people are just there for interest. Not really that they care about the world. They don't even know what they're talking. Sometimes I hear more nonsense from people who have studied even science, like saying that we will have internet, everything we have because of the satellites around the world. What that has to do with taking care of this Earth? Satellites are not putting money to go into Mars. But the interviewer just lets it be because now it's fashion to hate all those who want to take care of this planet. And it's not just the plants and the animals, but the people who are in charge to do so. So we have all these people, counting Jordan Peterson also, talking in general and talking about compassionate narcissists. Because now it's fashion to talk bad about those who care. Why? Because they have the power, you like it or not. And deep down, you have that antisocial resentment because you had to copy and repeat all your life and make yourself a good interpreter, a puppet of your own inner authority. So now you could be breaking through to create your own dialogue, but you're at the same time working with the matrix of thoughts that is composed with many people, and it's everyone on board as well, because these are the needs of this world. And you're fascinated to do that and aggravated to fight the board of psychology. The board of psychology and psychiatry in the future is not going to exist with role play in virtual reality, because people are going to be able to experiment and see their own, or through any other character. And they're going to study as well behaviors and all these that some of us already know. And we try to have a certain character to make other roles happen, because we need these roles in real life. So you put yourself and try to see what are your targets. If you want to have a good time in life and enjoy life, or if you want to make this fight a friendly debate, because people are in government as any person on any system, as corrupted as you could be, who only thinks for yourself. We will never talk about the stolen children of Canada if you had the power, because nobody would do that, having the power, because people just want power. Yeah. So you work to have all these friends. So how many people in Canada are going to stand out to stop the corruption of this? I shouldn't name the word because they are neo-Nazis. Many of them escaped to Canada. They behave as such. They just want to be nice and perfect and are empty inside. They have mercenary attitude to just smile and keep perfect. They're like robots. This is something that makes them very stupid, because there is no they are no like they're not have no awareness. They have no awareness of their own that can be formed with a signature of their own. One has to be polite and one has to be respectful at the same time. Politicians have to be uniting, cannot be just busting all this. I had to put many people out of certain platforms, and I have many names, so sometimes I don't have to adhere to insults and harming words that are not towards myself, but just to read it. I'm not in the mood. I'm not carrying my thick skin to read all this. Some days I'm simply very sensitive and open with my skin to feel and perceive and enjoy the little things just floating around. And you don't want to go there because you want other people to learn how to express themselves and at the same time have the audacity to be honest and say, I'm not perfect, no one is perfect. Well, I do believe this is an aspect, and this is something that people should support as a standard to praise. But I should have not insulted people who are obese and they suffer a lot. My friend doesn't come out of the house, and the other one as well. To walk next to an obese person. I've been in love with a role player. Well, that is obese, but he would never be with me because he's so entrapped by how much mistreated he's been by being obese. So not every person loves someone because of their looks or their material, but maybe because he's a beautiful human being and writer, as good as Stephen King or better. I mean, as a writer and role player. Of course, it matters to have a healthy body. Of course, it matters to love yourself and have a standard of beauty because it's related to health. But you can elaborate the narrative because there are no ends to creation. To destruction, there are ends. So it is good to make an end to certain aspects and learn how we're going to make new clauses, new policies for the freedom of expression, because that's the only thing that people in power can help to do. So instead of insulting a president with so much bitterness, get divorced, get a new wife. There's so many women that will love you, at least to be one day with you. And people will love you anyways. And if your wife really loves you, he will love you to be happy. Not as a possession, putting you the Bible there so you both go to heaven because you're sacrificing yourselves. Because that's the way to be. A person who is surrounded by love is it would maintain an equilibrium to cut through without having to cut through the healthy skin and just make an end to the sickness that we all carry. One thing is to be a role player in fantasy world, and another one is to because that's a problem with people who don't role play, but everyone, and they don't let it out in the fantasy world because not even religion is enough or therapy. People are not gonna go to therapy or want to be a better person. No, they are too busy in TikTok or working to get a new car. or looking how they're gonna have sex to attract someone. Yeah, because to be pleased, that's related to love. And who is gonna look for spirituality and having a river of divinity? No, because you have to go to the underworld, look at yourself for real. But that is true beauty, I guess, in all of us. But who is willing to debate about the aspects that we share? Because at the end, you might want Jordan Peterson to support the environment and the world. And some people who are the richest in this world, he doesn't have to say sorry in the public if he's a pedophile or not, or if he did this bad or not. But to show that he's also learning. But those are things that we feel. They carry a truth that is felt, no matter how much you fight against it and how many words you address it with. Eh, just turn page. Of course, everybody wants money, everybody wants to look good, everybody wants to follow all this plastic and illusion because it's to be better and or this is cool, makes me feel good, like drugs do, or sex. I mean, I could have ruined so many people just because they want me because of sex. Um, it takes many hours to look pretty. Any woman can look very beautiful just taking care. It takes hours and a lot of money. Just like if that is true love, I don't really. You really care? It makes them feel good, or they got a trophy. And I said, yeah, but you cannot afford this because your your life is in service to become so rich that you will enjoy later. So rich and powerful that you will enjoy when you are so old. I mean, so many people. I had lovers for 3 years that live, one that live in Central Park, New York City. Very handsome. He worked in Wall Street and very good man. And I was his lover for 2 years. And I had to let him go one day. And I said, you have to find someone to where you can surrender with, but try to find someone that when I said, because I need someone who's crazy. For me, this is dead. He would take me to his house, like a little mansion in the beach, Hamptons. I forgot right now. And we would have nice grills, and we would go with my daughter and his daughter. And I have many lovers. I was a good friend. I didn't have time to bullshit around and all this. Um, just knew that I knew very well that they didn't love me. They just liked me because I make them feel good. and they had a friend to listen, but I wanted to create something of my own, and I knew very well they would never support me because I would just be their partner. So there was nothing in this world that would put me away from whatever I wanted to do, whatever I have money or not. So I have many lovers and beautiful men that are part of me, and I think of them, and I'm sorry I haven't been their wife, and they mean well, and was just passing by. Because it's like you have to dedicate all your life for your partner, and your partner will interfere, you want it or not. Is everything you do, everything when you go out and in, and the questions, or is you don't have that infinite clarity to make as many mistakes you wish and create as many more to discover so many realms and patterns. That it takes a lot of bravery for men and women to follow their own path and say, I belong to this. These are my friends. I trust them. Whatever they say, I trust them. I do not have any enemy on this world because I can understand anyone on their own shoes because I have role played. I I have role played anonymously, not for fame and likes, instead of watching TV or other people. And you just, when you go to work, you go to the source. You do your ordinary work. You already know what matters most because that's what the power of role play does to your mind. You have your priority, and only you need to know what is your priority. Nobody can sell you anything because no one here is for sale. We're not following anybody's Bible or anybody's book about uh, communism or capitalism or any phobia or any group that is not willing to make its work clear without having to create more problems. I love Canadians. Um, when I was living in Canada, I knew I was going to be deported, even though I didn't want to be deported. But I knew at the same time that I had to be deported because it was the only way to recover my children. And there was a double rainbow in the ferry between Victoria, Vancouver Island, and Vancouver City. There was a double rainbow, and I was so hurt, but I had to trust in their uncertainty. So my boyfriend would go very crazy because he at that time he he knew because he was drug addict and he was super high, but he knew in spirit from his height that I was gonna go, and I knew it as well because I would breathe that in the air and from his skin. So he would tell me things that I wouldn't understand, but I would accept them because he knew of things. He would start just destroying everything from around, just throwing everything. And I was sorry for not being loyal to him because I had to recover my children, and I did consider that I had something to do that was not just taking care of him. But he will be interfering. Gonna I had to taking good care. So I said, next life you will be a driver, and you will drive with the speed of the light, because his mind, he wished to do that in this lifetime, and I believe he created uh, he created a space for me to where I wouldn't go crazy. Because when they took my children, there was nobody, but no one. Only my daughter Debbie, my little daughter Debbie, who was just a teenager. She was maybe 18, or she she has been with me with this pain all along, and I have helped her as well and tried to give her my best. I paid her wedding in Las Vegas and her 2 trips to Canada with her boyfriend, part of her universities, and much more, but still beautiful. But no one is your family, no one is really to judge in Canada for me anymore. I did wish to expose their corruption one day. Highly corrupted. The nicest people working in government. They all shake hands. They treat me as a criminal. The nicest people. So I know what Jordan Peterson is going through. Uh, they had corrupt paper from doctor to take my children, and the evidence is there as well. They they corrupted all the information. So government is not going to play the truth as it is now. So it was here, the judge, the corrupted, highly corrupted, because they protect McDonald's. A court that should be international for all the McDonald's around the world, which is fraudulent. But who cares about the environment and workers? Who cares? You can have infinite power as if you are like Superman, but every person is a stone of kryptonite that works in government. They're just for, do they really care? There are people who care, I know. There are so many people who care. And it's frightening to expose the truth because they can lose their jobs. So you have to study the right words to stimulate these people who also work in government and want to work without having to bring bitterness to the table. So arguments can be seen as aspects, not attacking people. But I have seen people who are the worst on this earth, and they look like if they are the nicest, walking in high heels like Barbies and taking children from families. And like they care, but making families crazy. I would see it on and on. Um, Families that have problems, they would trigger them to make them worse. And there are laws that need to be done. People who take drugs should be taken away. Mothers should live together with mothers to protect themselves with men. There's so much drug addiction in British Columbia. There is so much harassment from men to women. There is so much lack of sexuality and perversion. And it keeps on and on. It keeps on and on. It's not all as beautiful as it seems in Canada. All victims try to make a better world. These are not people that are born okay. This is why you have such a nice people. Call them empaths. But they are as mentally sick as those middle range narcissists that work in government. And they will do as flying monkeys everything to destroy you and please their superiors. They will make any fake paper that is possible. They will even create people who don't exist if they can. And even the police will silence and won't say these reports are real. Doctors who work in government, not private, but everyone is afraid of the government of Canada because they are true neo-Nazis. If you really look how they work, not all of them. So be careful because everywhere you go, it's going to be dangerous. And you want to have a good time and have a good relationship with the government. And people who have in the government need to trust that they are working with words that could help each other move on without having to create more problems. 'Cause you don't need to sacrifice yourself because you're hungry and to just auto destroy your life. Because at the end, you're not gonna have the energy, the fuel to burn it for the things that you want to do, unless you just want to tell stories. People like Blake, he would be drawing his things. People like Tolkien, he believed. I read them so much on and on, especially Blake. Every year, at least something. The same Dante's path. I cannot reach the peak of the purgatory because I feel maybe in May for the coronation or in between, I try to elaborate in the heavenly earth and the peak of the purgatory. But the path of redemption that I have written is the becoming small and create a mansion into a village. That is a path of redemption. To say you're gonna go to a third world country and create a mansion that blends and people can pay credit. But people like Bill Gates, he already has created this form of credit and he has problems too, but there are aspects. You cannot judge a genius because it's crazy. Yeah, you have to correlate with the many parts of the selves, but you don't even know what role play is about. You just read and copy and put more there. But you have never been eaten as a dish. That is role play. That you become all the ingredients in that dish that you have created yourself. And you have eaten it as well. And you have played all this phenomena that's part of a whole story. But until then, you're just excited about it. But you just put your toes in the water in the narrow, but you haven't swim, you haven't bathed, you haven't felt your skin drying in the nature of it all, of as it is. So to contemplate that you have a light towards to move forward, it's not left or right, but to consider what they say as well. So you you both create the tissue of our reality that is being shared. And there are going to be oppositions, and there are going to be debates, and they're never going to accept it. And you're never going to accept that you are hurting people online that affect millions in the world, but millions and millions in the world, because many people are talking also against the environment. And that also affects the United Nations and my work and the work of so many. I only have one little drop in the ocean of this work, but there are many who are waving and rippling for this flow to happen. So when you just draw that aspect without having to murder a character, which you need, it's not that you are playing that character as a figurine, but you are role playing, that is the prime minister. These are problems that are beyond anyone's nature on every country. And we're trying to move to these new values to avoid famine and hunger, to create these pathways with one another. So you hurt many women and young girls. You hurt me and any selfishness that I would believe to be. I look at it like, well, he's hurting a woman. I forget I am a woman. But I think for the young girls, you know, because women don't want to be out there exposing themselves. And I would recommend, and all my storylines for a woman to remain silent, just do their work and get into positions of power, just to do their work, because they're never going to get there if they are expressive and say what they think. Just to smile, and not that they are serving, but they're just working. And they will use them because they are working for them, or they want to pretend that they have equality with women, not because they respect anyone at all. But we need a lot of people to be in charge. We don't need to suppress more and create more problems. That is the point. So I will read a little bit here from Rule 9, just the ending page. It is our destiny to transform chaos into order. It is an insult that I'm not being paid for my work, and my work is being copied and talked over as if they did it. They discovered it. But it's not being used to see more problems. More problems. There are more problems. More problems. Yeah. Who cares about fucking Harry's book? Give me a break. Too much ego. So, if the past has not been ordered, the chaos is still constitutes, haunts us. There is information, vital information, resting in the memories that affect us negatively. Let's remember that Peter Jordan was, and I recommend everyone to be alone, to take a time to be alone, as in a monastery, a spiritual retreat, to clean from all anything that it is negative. But we cannot see it because we are so involved. We think it's ourselves, but it's not. It's a false belief. It's the belief that put you there in jail. But like a horse who's been born in stables and has never tested what is to run freely, unlimited, with unlimited grass. And it's good to also have discipline and refrain oneself, like in the stables. But get to be aware of when and where and how when you're there. So there is information, vital information, resting in the memories that affect us negatively. It is uh, it is as if part of the personality is still lying latent out in the world, making itself manifest only in emotional disruption. What is traumatic but remains inexplicable indicates that the map of the world that guides our navigation is insufficient in some vital manner. It is necessary to understand the negative well enough, well enough, well enough, so that it can be circumvented as we move into the future, if we do not wish to remain tormented by the past. And it is not the expression of emotion associated with unpleasant events that has curative power. I will read that again. And it is not the expression of emotion associated with unpleasant events that has curative power. It is the development of a sophisticated chaos theory. Why was I at risk? What was it about the world that made it dangerous? What was I doing or not doing to contribute to my vulnerability? How can I change the value hierarchy, I inhabit, to take the negative into account so that I can see and understand it? How much of my old map do I have to let crumble and burn? It's no need to. We have great pillars, but yeah, we need to burn something that perhaps is fuel. But there are many methods of energy. With all the pain dying tissue produces, before I can change enough to take my full range of experience into account, do I have the faith to step beyond what should and must die, and let my new and wiser personality emerge. To some great degree, we are our assumption. They structure the world for us. When basic axioms of faith are challenged, when I wrote the multiverse formula to Bill Gates, that was an axiom. So it needs a lot of practice to make it come true. And I have not given all the work yet. And nobody would believe me because it's just easier to listen and copy. And I'm not a muse, I'm not a muse, I'm not a mace, I'm not a high priestess. I'm a person who made a work and have many waiting for it as well. So people are basically good, the foundation shakes and the walls crumble. We have every reason to avoid facing the bitter truth, but making what is and what was clear and fully comprehend can only protect us. If you're suffering from memories that will not stop tormenting you, there is possibility that could be your very salvation, waiting there to be discovered. If all memories still upset you, write them down carefully and completely. These memories will never go. They have to be played. And I'm traumatized by the people that I have worked with. I'm traumatized by every aspect of every person I have seen. As much goodness they have, the dark side is always going to manifest. And I can see it. I can see it like if I'm the master of the occult. I can see it when no one could see it. And I can even tell how many generations and where it comes from without even speaking with the person, just for the characteristics. That's all. Characteristics. The ranks. So it is good. It is good to know that we're not alone, and we are all sometimes in a defense mechanism. So if people do dynamic meditation and express their anger and their madness, silent in a meditation hall, yeah, meditation that Osho created. But there is also closing with silence and dancing. The last half an hour, the last 20 minutes, as to say, you have to close with positive in order to continue the day. Because if you don't close with the height positivity, you might feel it in your total power to express, but you might go and fight the world because you feel super powerful and you can prove it. But you don't have that beautiful connotation that is everything is just can slipper away because you are too high for that. And you can understand as if it is a child. You're gonna fight with a child. Things that you can approach to the child and have a connection, but you already have valued that the child is going to grow in so many years. It has 26 years to carry on, or maybe more. So at this time, what you want is just to enjoy life. At least it's never too late. Now I could I could return to my fellow role players and honor them, but they lost their inspiration because we really need the rules of role play in order to protect the wilderness of imagination. There are laws who protect this by proven science of it. And I do not have the space and money. And the role player who used to role play is too busy in YouTube because it's automatic applause. And it's working other things that are more relevant to the times, which is doing characters anonymously. So the average role player cannot understand the high intensities of power, and not everyone can hold together groups for so long because of that lack of taking care of a group. It's not just about being the one who has the last word and the first word, but it is everyone who follows this person and supports this person is also pushing this movement, but being respected as well. Nobody wishes to be gay because no one is born naturally gay. 1 out of 100 people who think to be gay were born with uh, hormonal dysfunction, but it's called a dysfunction because some people or animals are born without legs or one more finger. There is a dysfunction. It's not natural. It's the pattern of its nature. We can all have universal love, but we do not need to abuse others and hate our sexuality so much or gender that we want to become an opposite sex because we think we're going to be loved like that. So that's an escape of our reality as well. And these things need to be talked as they are. People are afraid to lose votes and talk about these things because it has become fashion. But this is not fashion for everyone. On the contrary, it's alarming. And something needs to be washed away. So no one is using you. You're not being abused. And that is very important because the worst abuse is psychological. And having parents who are teachers can be very abusive mentally for a child. As nice people can be, is worse when they're nicer. You cannot see it really. You see it, but you can't be in control of it because you cannot grab it and say, that's the problem. We won't come in terms with reality in the present. We come later and here and there or by split seconds, but we won't grab it. We won't grab it and say, here, I'm doing this work. I am, or I'm making love, but no, my mother is there, or your father is there, or your rapist is there, or your abuser, or your psychological, but you're not allowing yourself to what it is. Or you're just making love because you need to pour all the bad energy. Then you are living a life that is not made out of love. True love, because you're obstructed with this. Even when you make love, it's just It's just to take out the tension. So be careful, because then again, that suppressor is trying to express, but it never ends. So you have places where you can express this anger. You have places where you can express this frustration. You have the right to feel frustrated. I have the right to feel crazy when they took my children with all the legalities. You can understand that from a family member because it wants money and you know it's sick because you live with this person all your life. But from people that work in government to help people, wow, that's hurting. To me, it hurts me. My babies. Do you really care about me? Why should I care about you? When you hurt people online, do you really care about them? When you listen about people, you don't care. You only care about you. So we are in a world of narcissism that has never been so narcissistic as ever before. What I have discovered only an extreme empath would have done with strong traits of narcissism. I could be more narcissistic than an average person, of course, or than an average narcissist. But I've always said I'm super empath and super narcissist. It's just, uh, you have to take care. You have to take care. The thing is that some people like me, I don't care to lose it all if I have to protect my children. Or if I have to do something that is greater than looking at your ass shitting every day. Like if that is the only thing I should do. So we all have problems. We all go to the toilet. We don't need to share such a things. And eventually, because nobody has gone to role play, they have lied as well. They have stolen as well, as you do today. Everybody's after likes and creating more views and getting to know each other, joining the narrative. I am here trying to make money to get my children, maybe find a lawyer, someone that is powerful enough to get them. But I am too broken inside to move forward. So I have lost all my work and money as well that I have invested from my own 19 years of work where no one sponsored me, no academy would, because they would never invest in things that are not of their own. You have to follow all these people in order to make something. By the time you get there, you don't have cell brains to unless you follow what you've studied from all these people. I had to create this formula that I have not given because I've been the only person where everyone had these collective groups of multiple stories going on as one, because I was always mediating for everyone with plenty of characters. Because everyone is a narcissist, lesser narcissist, middle narcissist. They all care about making their groups. And when they start, they just become part of groups. But later on, they just want to cheat and copy because they want to be the king or the queen or the group leader. So these are problems that happen on and on and on and breaks groups and breaks the tissues of reality again and again and again because there is no room enough for people to make their roles. But this is all mental, and there are a lot of rules. Only an extreme empath, because I had to think and think for 18 years and taking notes. How would it be? So it rolls by itself. So I saw the movement because I was pushing for it. I have pushed a lot of tendencies, as others have made other tendencies as well. But you will never put yourself for another. You could do that sometime in your life, but you do not have to crucify yourself when people are asking you to enjoy your life and promote something that is pleasing. Yes, everyone loves scandal because everybody needs to do a dynamic meditation and because it's funny. Okay, that might carry on through the ages, but what is beautiful that we can live in it every day without having to disconnect with one another. Comes to a time that just having a normal walk and getting to see your mother die in peace, her last years, is all you want. See your children. Because everything is working by itself, right? You don't need to share your privacy. I mean, of course, you can share your like these young people who were murdered. I have felt 𝙬𝙤𝙪𝙧𝙞𝙪 from the Idaho 4. I have felt her dancing in here, like she was with her dog, and I had this music that is very popular on TikTok. And everyone dances with it. So I pray for them souls and myself as well, because I have many people wanting to destroy me just because I was happy. And most of these people are incapable of being happy. There is also a power trip of who can carry this energy of beauty and happiness. There is wealth as well, rich, good, well educated, whatever is narcissist or empathic. Doesn't matter as long as you're not really hurting other people to be what to have more likes. No, even the Kardashians are better than they. I don't know the Kardashians very well. My daughter loves them, so I love them too. They're not my style, but like the daughter of Peterson, it's not my style, but I like her too. Like my daughter, they like all this uh, makeup and pretends like yeah, and like if they are so popular and that, but is been very popular as well in many realms, but they're not hurting anyone. So I love them for that, and I love them for making themselves beautiful out there and bringing a channel of expression, whatever it is, based on it's open doors. So It is okay to celebrate oneself and have an open window to the world without having to be murdered, without having to be criticized, without having this constant battle as presidents with the media, and so many people who just maybe want to come out from their house, and maybe they're not in TikTok or Facebook because they are obese. You do not know the sufferings of these people because you only think about yourself, and you're going to create more relevant scandals to have more people talking about you. That's what matters most. So we can help to calibrate each other, and we are responsible of creating our own settings. But as I say again, in real life, it is delicate, and we must be simplified. And in virtual reality role play, I'm not with the what's meta, which is a computer game with these glasses and the Wii that you move your body and it moves there. That's what it is. My work has nothing to do with all these incels who work with computer programming. I know a little bit of coding, but it's not where I wanted to invest my mind. As I was directed to do from birth, I was directed to look into what is to be a director and a scriptwriter and know how to mediate for a budget, which is the most important. But for that, you have to become a little child to ask for Paramount Pictures to sponsor your movie and talk with other people about it for years. Movies are talked for many years while you're filming other movies. Takes sometimes 4 years, 7 years, 6 years. Somebody comes, starts talking about this idea. And some are just starting to roll. So nothing is gonna happen on internet because people are just talking. People are still separated. And what's happening one by one is not meeting. Is only going to start when sincerity comes across, and a lot of things have happened. We could see that. Don't need evidence to be proven, but I do need the respects to be rescued from this mess, which is the truth. So, well, this is I just open here from William Blake, who is a poet and an artist of spirituality, I would say. The complete poetry and prose of William Blake. Vala, night, the ninth being the last judgment. And Los and any Tharmon built Jerusalem, weeping over the sepulchre, sepulchre, I over the crucified body, which to the phantom eyes appeared still in the sepulchre. But Jesus stood beside them in the spirit, separating their spirit from their body, terrified at no existence, for such they deem the death of the body. Lost his vegetable hands, outstretched his right hand, branching out in fibrous strength, seized the sun. His left hand, like dark roots, covered the moon and tore them down, crackling the heavens across from immense to immense. Then fell the fires of eternity with loud and shrill sound of loud trumpet thundering along from heaven to heaven, a mighty sound articulate, awake ye dead, and come to judgment from the four winds awake, and away, falling like scrolls of the enormous volume of heaven and earth. Carries on. Okay, so hope everyone has a good day. About this killer, Brian Colbert, I think he has schizophrenia and he has beliefs of his own. Imagine many things that were not, and some that might have been. But you have to have very strong belief to do such thing. And could talk for hours and days about this because I feel that I have been murdered many lives in my past life, and I never got to be an older woman. And not only murder, but I've been having this idea that I have been murdered and raped many times as a little woman or child, or just the image of leaving my body again, and not that I was the same person. So, and that you could love someone, say I love you, but it's not the way I would have wished to meet you. But this again, because the soul would recognize that is the same person that you never got to meet like a normal person would, or even in a going to buy bread or in the neighborhood. It's just repeatedly on and on. So just to imagine that I would have been lingering for 500 years as a ghost who doesn't want to move because of so much resentment and pain. But not only from that, but from many other stories. Because in the old times, that was, well, for certain, there were also horrible stories, horrendous. So for anyone who could survive, and of course, everyone would have been a king or a queen or have many lives to be wealthy, and if there were. But in my imagination, because it does abstract me very deeply, stories of murder and the sensation of the kill, that which as children we are taught to watch these horror movies, and I would always laugh about it. I say, well, I don't know, it's you teenagers like it so much, maybe as a teenager. And it was only Stephen King who attracted my attention for how beautiful he would depict fear and not wanting to be possessed, because that's frightening that someone is going to take your life or whatever it is frightening. But the whole landscape and how he dances with words. I have a collection of his books of Stephen King in a storage of Canada. So I want to say as a reminder that which is attractive for us, that is beautiful, is that we deserve to enjoy. Um, Pleasure has been castrated over 2,000 years or more through Christianity and the Jews. The Jews could have been very wise and good in the marketplace and good for themselves only. They were very racist, the Jews, only for themselves. And we have to be like that, otherwise. So, yeah, I think Brian Kohlberg has secret schizophrenia, um, beliefs, because you need to create this alternative voice for this emotion. So it comes through a character and is being reinforced by everything that has happened to you as a consequence of the lack of love in this world, but real love. There are a lot of young girls who are a bitch, like a nasty bitch, and I would always tell them, don't be like that, because that was nasty. Yeah. And I would do it, I would say it at work as well. Don't think because you're very pretty, you have the right to say such a things. And the guys would be like, and the guy would feel protected. And I say, what can guys do? Yeah. I say, you have to learn how to joke, I said as well, because joking doesn't mean that you have to diminish another one and you like the other one. But this it's not a good joke. And I explained them, I'm a comedian. So you have to learn how to joke. And women are not good joking and or expressing themselves. So this is in this generation with of the freedom of sexuality, because I'm not saying the freedom of women, I'm saying the freedom of sexuality, which has always existed, but in with other laws to protect themselves. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's being noted. It's just that this is the times where so many serial killers risen because of all this freedom of sexuality and women experiencing at the same time freedom to work, freedom to push for other careers, little by little, earning their power. So it has awakened, because women don't know how to park a car because they don't have mobile consciousness of moving out from the house and getting to think about others. A woman have been very selfish to a certain age until they have children. So because they have children, they are caring. But if they don't have children, they wouldn't be caring. They would be as nasty, as bitchy as they have been. Or unless they are ugly as fuck. So some incels get lucky because they finish a university degree and then they get married. So the woman sees the convenience there, the security. So they're engaged and they have good children, I guess. So it is hard. It is hard. You don't want yourself to be loved because you have a career, degree, or money. So it comes in both ways. In this is only the first century. There have been many free women and powerful women along history. Not as many, but there have been always, and there have been a lot of men too who have been grateful to share themselves, and any woman would do anything to be with them. As man and woman get to correlate together and make life a sacred place, like heaven is, whatever you're alone or not. I wish the press talks only about the coronation. How is the coronation going to be? If they're going to make this design, or they can make any other story, but just to speculate anything about, because it's being 70 years. So many things have happened in 70 years. What would have happened if Charles was king, was he was younger? He would have it like in the 80s with a lot of, I don't know, if would it be balls? Would it be disco dancing? Would it be a ceremony of whatever? How would it be in a science fiction in the future? The coronation? How would they carry the same regalia? And yes, they would, but maybe they would do or whatever. Each one would do as they might, whatever. Bringing honor about rituals, about what the rituals we have when we get married, when we make the communion, or when we go to India and meet a master, the ritual of creating a dinner because we're having this guest, or we're having this decoration with someone who believes, and we believe in what they study, and we're forming together this this thought that is going to become true. So we need to support each other and be careful, because the school of psychology and psychiatry might never accept what's going on in the metaverse in the future, only when this role player accepts the it's more important, which is his family, his problems there, which is contagious, of course. There are so many beautiful writings from the poems of William Blake that is meant to be read alone because it's too intimate and beautiful and spiritual at the same time and orgasmic. So in many levels, not just intellectually. He was a lover and they had orgies, William Blake, with some couples, with their wives. He had to obligate his wife or he would divorce her. And in those times, what would she do? Gonna get a drop because she don't want to. That is in not in all his biographies, but in one written by Marcia Keith Chart, William Blake's Path to Spiritual Vision. But those were private, secret contemplations of friends who would, after church, run out in the private to philosophize and have their, I guess they would drink. I don't know. But they were kind of like extreme because get too poetic about it about the so not my style really, but he you could feel it in your body when you read William Blake because he was a man of the body. He was a man who wished his work to live forever. And I do wish for people to role play and get to discover the underworld of the hells and heavens, to get to meet spirituality with many religions as well. And for all those prophets that came to show us the way, and masters or friends, writers, thinkers, and poets, and those who support them, and got to enjoy even in nature without having to know too much, just enjoying in nature with simple things. So, well, you do have to believe something in your mind to do such acts of murder and violence. Some who is a husband who thinks they can kill the wife, which is based on passion and absolute selfishness is always, but it's because they want the money of the house, or they hate her because she's a bitch who is going to leave them alone. But they have invested all their life in money and they're ugly as fuck. So they will never have such a beautiful woman and they only marry them for money. You can see these murders. Or they're going with another woman who is younger and he's handsome too, but he deserves to have a better fuck. They're all based on passion. It's just that some have schizophrenic alternative true, which is based on a stronger motive, but it's not real. Is delusional. Is created from an antagonistic voice and character in the mind that needs to speak by itself because it's been so wounded, but it's powerful because one could feel so powerless at the same time. So it feels cool. Well, it's not the way. But we need these stories to get close to imaginary thoughts about immortality and death. Hope not. Hope people can get to role play and get to live their wildest fantasies and nightmares in order to understand as many characters they can have, to not get stuck in character, and that we can be a better person. It makes you a better person. Not from one day to another in role play. There are rules, and these rules, once broken, as any tissue of reality, is fragmentized to never be held alive again together. You can glue it, you can patch it, the electricity of its form as one has nothing, no conjunction as before. The, those scars will be there forever and will be seen as another form. So be careful. It's no need to destroy in order to create. This all belief of destroying has to end. One thing is to display elements. It seems like you're destroying because you are opening all this painting, and now this is destroyed because now it doesn't have any more paint, right? No, of course, it's for the purpose of using that paint, but it's been destroyed to to use these elements to create a painting. And who knows? Maybe that painting is destroyed in order to create another painting, or it's just burned. So if you're creating a painting that is taking all your life, all your time, instead of trashing so many drawings to the rubbish paper, you will have a painting that by experience could last forever, and it's beautiful, not just as a decoration, but as a story, as a reminder of something that talks to you after time, after you have passed away. Your creation talks by itself to others in other ways that you might have never had imagined. It works because you have worked with it, and it's willing to speak by itself. So this is when we get to respect what we're doing, and we can enjoy without having to destroy so much. Yes? So people's image matter. I have put my full energy to destroy Amber Heard and Meghan Markle because they wanted to destroy other people's image and work. And I know this type of narcissist, and nobody told me to do it, nobody paid me, because I know what my husband did to me to destroy my life and my image, my reputation. So many people that are like that, even your own mother would do that, to take everything from you. So many people could do that. They can give you everything, put you up in a pedestal, and then take it out if you're not serving them. So it's very difficult when you forgive, and you're so selfish because you're happy with nothing until, because no matter how many characters you play, and or top narcissistic characters that belong to other realms, because there cannot be more narcissism than characters that are supernatural, and you have a lot of fun with them. But I learned a lot with the construct of narcissism with H.D. Tudor, and even though I already knew it, it has convinced myself, which is different. One thing is to know from a parallel world, it's happening to you, but it's like you're not really catching it, right? You're not really. Somehow you moved away and try other natures to push you because you couldn't disengage from it, but unconsciously, you look for this to take you away because you are not powerful enough to disengage. But to have seen with H.G. Tudor all his work with narcissism, I was in shock. It's hard to see it. It is hard to see it in oneself as well. The defense mechanism is paranoia creates this to defend itself. As an adult, especially, we can defend ourselves. So by abusing others, we might defend ourselves as well. So it's very delicate. And there's beauty in it when we can grasp it and change each other with a nice massage that is not trying to change you really, which is the feeling. It can be pleasing that yes, you have insulted me. Yes, I'm attacking you as well. But we can understand each other. So I would rather support a genius, no matter how crazy it is, than a politician. Because a politician can die or another one can take its place. But a genius can inspire the world. And we need politicians who are genius as well. I want to thank my Prime Minister Rishi Sunak with my prayers because he's young, he's full of energy, he's decent, he's danced in Ibiza, he has this youthfulness and generosity. He represents the colonies and the friends of our friends who live together in the same nation, whatever is here in India, in Venezuela, even if Venezuela is in a dictator mode, because the person who is there, he thinks everyone loves him, but he could be more. But that was a Spanish colony territory, and all the goodness it has is thanks to the Spanish colony as well. And India had an empire of itself. I mean, Venezuela had the nomads, which were an invisible empire. But Sunak represents the universal love to the British people here who are standing to so much abuse from immigrants, abuse in neighborhoods and in some places where they are not dressing as beautiful to the eye of the city. They are divided from our culture. They don't belong. They don't look at us as we are one. So being born here and having friends who love you and having people who support you as a prime minister that is being born in this land, this signifies a lot for everyone who is from whatever country and culture. And I want to thank all those who supported Rishi Sunak as well, even though uh, Boris Johnson deserved all the control around to never had suffered from these reverberations of on and on in the media because nobody was there hating in Twitter and in the press. So it seems like the hateful people promoted hatefulness until everyone got crazy. So It was a collective madness after the lockdown as well. So it's been hard for everyone. I appreciate that Rishi Sunak is not being attacked as Boris Johnson was, because people respect the narrative and they keep the narrative. Everybody wants to follow what everybody says because that is the story. You don't want more problems. Yeah, so everybody will go on because that's monkey see, monkey do in the flying monkey community. It's not easy to speak the truth and nothing but the truth because there are billions and billions of truth composing a scenario to lead takes the support of everyone as well. So this is what is your target, to have the support of everyone. And whoever is president or prime minister, or whoever is above, is whomever is below or to the sides to make this happen. So I will thank everyone who is supporting acts of kindness, and joy, and if possible to stop this war, on every little war we have. Bye. That is beautiful and attractive. Can't make much. Let's go and walk a little bit. I have to go out and take a little stone, at least a few. Bye. Thanks the Lord. There's something greater.